And one of the big kind of pillars I talk about where I push is methodologies that I follow. I think we all get a bit tired of hearing 8,000 different methods of selling or customer service. One of the big ones that I really like that I push on people, and I've did a training with it a long time ago, was called the Challenger method. So it talks about teaching, tailoring, and taking control. So it's all about that value add. So being able to teach the person that you're working with something, able to challenge their ideas and really open their minds up, tailoring it to the information that you're pushing across and that what they've shared with you from a discovery standpoint, and really taking control of that situation so they feel comfortable that you're the consultant for them. And I think that applies in prop tech. I think that applies from a property manager or BDM perspective. So for anybody who's listening, that's my biggest from a sales methodology and a customer service. I recommend diving into it.
Welcome to the Property Management Podcast. I'm your host, Kylie Walker, aka That Property Mum. And today we've got a great episode and it's focusing on one of my favorite topics, customer service, or customer experience as I prefer to call it. Customer service is the backbone of any successful business. And it's not just about addressing clients' needs. It's about creating memorable experiences that build trust, loyalty, and long-term relationships. A well-designed customer experience should make people feel valued, understood, and appreciated. And in this episode, I want to share some strategies for crafting these experiences and emphasizing the emotional aspect of customer interactions. A customer-centric approach can transform a good business into a great one. And it involves anticipating clients' needs, providing personalized solutions, and maintaining consistent communication. And my special guest to help me delve into this topic is Taylor Coleman, the co-founder of Tappy, a pioneering PropTech company renowned for its innovative approach to property management solutions. Taylor is here to share his valuable insights on how to master the art of customer service, ensuring a seamless and exceptional experience for clients. He also highlights how thoughtful touchpoints can create positive emotions, reinforcing the client's decision to choose your business and also encouraging them to become advocates for your brand and helping you bring in and grow your brand with great referrals and reviews. He'll also discuss the importance of the customer journey and how to consistently keep delivering value that keeps clients satisfied and engaged. And like I said, this episode is packed with actionable advice and best practices, practical strategies for building strong, long-lasting relationships with clients, ensuring their needs are not only met, but are exceeded at every stage of the journey with your business. So grab a cuppa and let's dive on in. Taylor, thank you so much for joining me on the Property Management Podcast. You are no stranger to this podcast and you are no stranger to the property management industry either. For those of you who may not know who you are, just give us, they can either go back and listen to a previous episode, but just give us a little bit of a quick life update. What's happening? How's the business going? What things are happening at Tappy at the moment?
Yeah, Kylie, thanks. And as always, appreciate you having me on the podcast. And the big thank you to you for being an incredible Tappy client and helping us on the journey as we continue to grow. Tappy's been doing great. We just had our biggest in terms of growth for a financial year, this past financial year, which has been amazing. We're growing everywhere. As anybody who knows me, I'm on a plane every single week. I'm currently trying to hire multiple sales reps to also help with the growth. So if anybody listening wants to work for an amazing company, work for amazing people like Kylie and make a massive impact in the property management industry, please reach out to me because I'm looking for people at the moment. But really, things are going well. Things are going great. Just trying to keep helping people get rid of the most painful part of the process, which is maintenance. So,
absolutely. I've actually got a list of maintenance follow-ups that I've got to do sitting here beside me, and that's what I have spent most of my day today. I'm back on the tools running a portfolio at the moment, and yeah, you're right, it is a painful point. Even though Tappy does make it easier, there's still parts of the maintenance process that we have to do ourselves. But we're not talking maintenance today. We're actually talking all about customer service. And my experiences with Tappy have always been amazing. I think you guys really get customer service right. And I think it's something that, some of your ethoses around that, I think would be really valuable to anyone listening. So tell us a little about what your values are around that customer service piece inside Tappy.
Yeah, and that's a great question, Kyle. And I think that's been for myself and for Tao, who's my business partner, and also Anna, who is our head of customer success, training, and support. That, and whether if you're working in a prop tech company or if we're talking about a property manager just servicing a landlord, it's about adding value. And I think the biggest thing that we've always looked at when it comes to customer service is we're asking you to pay money to use our software, right? Same as a landlord paying a fee, a management fee to the property manager. And we always want to ensure that people are using our product really, really well. So, what I mean by that, from an onboarding perspective, we're not just giving you a product and say, hey, start clicking buttons and go. We make sure that that is very facilitated so everyone feels comfortable. We're able to share metrics on how well people are actually using the system, how well, for example, tenants are using the system as well. So I think from a customer service piece, one, it's about being data driven, but the other piece of it is really it's empathy. Like it's really understanding who your customer is, what their pain points are, understanding the type of people that they are. So when you are asking them to invest their hard-earned money into your service, you're actually creating the value there and not taking for granted that, oh, well, they have to use a system like this. Like, no, it is a what's the right word I want to use? It is an honor to be able to work with our clients. So, like you, Kylie, and we don't want to ever take that for granted. And it's the same thing for the PMs out there. Like it's an honor to work when a landlord comes to you and wants you to work with them. Obviously, there's some landlords that aren't great, and that's a different conversation about bad landlords. But we need to look from a customer service is that we provide a great service because these people are choosing to work with us, and we need to ensure we're always adding value, whether that's data driven or something that we can talk to from a qualitative standpoint.
Absolutely. Well, you guys are in such a competitive space right now, and that the prop tech industry, new stuff's coming so quickly, and you've probably taken over from a lot of other people who, I don't know, maybe couldn't keep up with the way technology was moving. But it does, you're right, it does come down to that customer, that value add side of things. And when it comes to customer service, do you think that starts at the start when you're actually like, do you think about the customer service piece before you bring on clients, or is it only once you've got the clients into your pipeline, I guess, is that when you ramp it up? Like, is the customer, what I'm trying to say is the customer service part of your attraction, the way that you attract people into Tappy?
Absolutely. That's a huge piece of what we focus on. And I'll talk a little bit about kind of the process. But for anybody that looks at Toppy, and if you're not using Toppy or people that have used Toppy, it's very common you hear from us, go speak to 10 people. Like we're not shy. Like whenever I'm in a sales meeting with somebody or one of my reps is, they go, hey, when a meeting finishes, here's 10 people you can speak to. And we do that because we want people not just to take the work. Because when you're talking to salespeople, everyone's chasing a commission check. Any salesperson that tells you they're out for the good of their heart, it's my business, so it's a little different. But as we know, any salesperson that tells you that they're doing it the good of their own heart, they might be, but they're still trying to get a commission check. So you need to be careful there. But if someone's actually telling you, hey, speak to all these incredible clients, that shows how well service is prioritized in that business. And I think from a handover point, when we talk about even from a BDM perspective in an agency, or from a prop tech company, we're looking at software. If there's a disconnect between that sales rep or that BDM handing off to the property manager, the customer success manager, whatever you want to call that account manager, that tells you pretty quickly how that organization is going to work for you from an investment pace. So, like from our end, how we approach it, we immediately up front go, hey, this is what the process is. So this is the software. It's going to be amazing. But the value you're going to see is this incredible account manager working with you, going through your processes, looking at your data, and how we can absolutely achieve success for you. So then when you hand it over, you go, hey, well, this is, for example, with us. Hey, this is Anna. She's absolutely amazing. She's going to be on that journey with you to ensure that you're successful. This is the person. And she already knows because we've shared that information you shared with me in the sales process so she can make you successful. So that handover piece is so key. So for example, with BDMs listening,
Yep.
if you're not concerned or worried about that handover, you're not doing a good job. Like you should be confident to say, hey, I'm very confident that I am communicating to that landlord how amazing that property manager is and making sure that that's a clean handover and that property manager knows everything, whether if it's asset information in the property, if it's the history of the property that you've shared with me, what the goals are of the landlord, then you're just going to have a bad client experience from the start. And that's what's going to create churn in a business.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great lesson. And that is something that a lot of probably BDMs don't really, especially new to the industry, BDMs don't really understand the importance of that handover and the importance of building that relationship with their property manager to make sure that same service that and the promises that they've made in that initial sales pitch is carried through with the service as well. So, and I have experienced that in my business. When there's been a disconnect, there is a churn, and that early stage mistakes, clients have got elephant memories when it comes to making a mistake. Same with you. If you make a mistake with money, they've got elephant memories. They never forget that. And it's the quickest way to lose trust with potential new clients. And it just makes your job really hard, or the property manager's job really hard from the start. So that is great. So what about then for you guys? What's your next bit of advice once you've got the client into the business, you've handed over from sales, BDM, into the account manager, I guess, or property management and for us? What's the next part of that customer service piece look like for you guys?
Yeah, and I think, and it's going to sound kind of funny what I just said about the BDM and the sales rep giving all the information. I think a really key thing, and I tell this with our team, and whether you're a PM or if you're an account manager in prop tech, don't assume that the sales rep gave you all the information. I think that's the biggest thing that I've seen. Even if the sales rep's amazing, they get all the information of the BDM, you should still, as a account manager or a property manager, have those set questions, like really understand, okay, this is how I make my landlord or my company that I work with successful, where I have, hey, for example, these 10 questions from a process standpoint that we know are crucial to their success. Even if you think you have all the information, reiterate that with the land, like, hey, I know the sales has already mentioned this. It's so important for me to ensure that you have a great experience. Let me just review this. Great. That box is ticked. That box is ticked. That box is ticked. So that makes you look super organized. And two, you're ensuring that there is no fallout between that handover. So then you can start off the ground running.
So like a little checklist, a handover checklist, make sure that you're on the same page would be a great way. Digital checklist, probably if you're in prop tech. You know what I mean? So is that what you're sort of saying? Something like that, just to make sure that everything's set up. So for us in property management, make sure we've got the smoke alarm compliance, make sure we've got the properties, we've got insurance details, we've got all of those things, which sometimes people who are in sales, let's be honest, are not great at the admin and the checklist side of things. So yeah, I think that's really another valuable piece to this customer service puzzle. And then what about long term? Because sometimes we get the clients, we've done all that hard work at the start, and then it's sort of 12 months into the relationship. We're busy. Like we've got more new clients coming in the front end, and we're busy trying to get those new clients in the door. But how do we stop that churn out the other end, which is really common in property management? And I've had this experience. I had brought on 100 properties in 1 year, and I think I lost something like 96 at the other end. I didn't even realize it because I was so busy on the other side of things, and yeah, lost as much as I brought in, which was very disappointing. If you are anything like me, you think you know your rent roll numbers. Well, I thought I did until I had a rent roll health check, and I was quite literally shocked. The money I was leaving on the table was astounding. And this is not something that I'm proud to admit. There were missed management fees, let fees, advertising, and lease renewal fees not being charged, and properties even without bonds. And all of this was happening despite monthly audits being conducted in my business. So how did I uncover all these gaps in my valuable income? Well, I had a rent roll due diligence from my good friend Tazi, aka the Rent Roll Queen and founder of the Tazi Way, a specialist in rent roll due diligence, business valuation, and management rights. The Tazi Way is the innovative force driving the real estate industry. With 25 years of business and real estate acumen, they find gaps and risks in your agency to find undiscovered value. If you'd like to book your business in for a rent roll due diligence, head to the link in the show notes and mention That Property Mum for a 10% discount. If you're ready to be a super organised, focused and productive property manager, buckle up, because Colmeo is about to revolutionise the way that you work. Colmeo is the driving force behind property management excellence in residential real estate. Now picture this, a comprehensive end-to-end system designed to be the beating heart of your property management tasks, manage your properties, owners and tenants, and handle payments, inspections, and even marketing listings without leaving the platform. Colmeo is designed to be an all-in-one solution to all your property management needs. And here's the game changer. Colmeo isn't just software. It's been awarded the most innovative prop tech scale up in 2023. Yes, you heard it right. Colmeo has been recognised for their groundbreaking approach to property management software. How good is that? So property managers, whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, dive into the future of property management with Colmeo. You can book in a demo with the team today and go in their weekly draw for a Prezi gift card worth $100. All you need to do is to head to the link colmeo.com/thatpropertymum, and Colmeo is Kolmeo.
Yeah, and I think, Kylie, I think you'll nail it. And working with clients, like that's a common thing. And what's important about it, whatever we set it up, I mean, for example, we have a system that allows us to essentially do pulse checks on our clients. So if based on communication, certain amount of touch points, if we haven't had those touch points, that pulse drops, and depending on the conversations that are coming in. I think my biggest advice, like the example you just gave, if you don't know, for example, a client, by looking in a system, how many touch points you've had with them, and you don't have a structure where it says, hey, for each client, I've set these next 6 months, I have to have these many touch points, you're going to have a serious issue. And on top of that, and this is a bit controversial because other people will say this, they tell you that, hey, you need to do those check-in calls with your landlord. I like the idea of a check-in call, but the thing with check-in calls, and I'm really with our team, and I think this is really important for any property manager as well. In my personal opinion, unless the relationship is very different, like if you do have a landlord that wants, hey, how you doing? What's going on? Just talk through it. That's fine. But the landlords change now. They want value-added conversations. Like landlords are busy. They don't want you calling them at 6 p.m. at night or 2 p.m. during the day when they're at work going, hey, how are you? I'm good. Is there a problem with my property? No, I just want to check in on you. Think about ways with every single one of those check-ins where if you do say, I want to have 3 calls with my landlord over the next 3 months, for example, where you're adding value, whether that's legislation advice, whether that is, hey, we're thinking about potentially we could do renovations on the property as we increase the rent, like how to structure as a business where you go, hey, when we do touch points with our landlords, we have a Rolodex of things we can say, this is value added for the client. So when you're doing those check-ins, your landlord's like, oh my God, that's amazing. Like, I'm only paying you 7%. What are you talking about? I need to pay more.
That is more great advice. That is fantastic. You're absolutely right. We do waste a lot of time, a lot of their valuable time on those types of calls. So I have just recently started doing them as investor education calls or investor review calls, and I usually do it when we do our routines every 6 months. And as I get those reports in each week, I call those landlords and, let them, I don't just talk about that, but I sort of talk to them about the market and what's going on and their lease renewals and, the new legislation that we've got in Queensland. And, and I can kind of tie in then as well, if there's any maintenance issues or if it's, touch wood, there is no maintenance issues, even better, everything's great with your property, and that, always offer, have you had a tax depreciation done? Have you reviewed your interest rates lately? And throw in some sort of value add. So yeah, you're absolutely spot on. I love that. You've given us 3 really amazing little gems of advice there, and you're not even a property manager. So, but you do work with a lot of property managers, and And I guess for me, I like to think of customer service as an experience. You know that old saying, customer service is about how you make people feel. So being on the other side of seeing, looking into property management businesses, what are some of the, I guess, the best or the worst customer experiences that you've seen? And that could be around how they use Tappy. It could be around, how they onboard clients. I don't know if have you seen anything that stands out to you?
Yeah, and I think, and obviously I'm speaking to you now, but what you just said, and I think we both know that's the minority of the industry. So people who are listening, what Kylie just talked about, having those check-ins about the legislation, talking about the plan for the property and what you're doing. I mean, that's the key. Like that is the type of stuff that I want to see all my clients doing, and I think the industry should be doing because from a customer service level, if you can focus on the long-term asset value, and I guess when we talk about customer service, the top tier customer service that I see from the agencies are ones that are truly trying to best recommend what someone should do on the usually the biggest asset in their life. So if you are talking to people about, hey, proactive maintenance plans, if you are talking to people about, hey, let's talk through the depreciation values on your assets in the home because we want to save you money here at tax time, or just making sure that you're not wasting hundreds and hundreds of dollars on bad repairs. Or, for example, having lending options where if an owner does want to do renovations to get the rent up, where you can actually communicate with your client about that. So taking that level of education where we are truly consulting on the best value for the property as opposed to just having the normal kind of day to day. So when I see agencies do that, go above and beyond like you do, Kylie, those are the ones that I see with the most success.
Yeah. And the problem I think we have is that there is a lot of younger generation property managers in the industry. We've had such an influx of those experienced property managers out the other end. So, I know my team, there's probably one other property manager on my team that would be able to have that conversation, those sorts of conversations. So there's probably a gap there in the training for anyone listening, any of those coaches and trainers out there. There is probably that gap in that investor education piece as well. So yeah, no, that's great. I'm glad to know that I'm on the right path then with that customer service. But it never stops, does it? Like like you don't just get a client, get them to sign on the piece of paper and you've got them for life. There's no guarantees. There's so much competition. And whether you're in property management, whether you're in prop tech, like, there is, I don't know, there's not a huge amount of loyalty, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point. And I think we've all learned that. I know you've had that with your business. I've had that with my business. I think the biggest rule of thumb is never assume you have a good relationship with somebody. That means you're going to keep the business. Like this is all about, especially in our industry, because when you're selling, especially to consumers as a property manager and you're dealing with landlord, I mean, there are a lot of those are business people and cutthroat business people. Just because you guys have a laugh and have that conversation, if it's not value added, especially in this day and age, then those people are going to leave.
Absolutely. And I guess then I don't know if is there anything else that you can add about your processes at Tappy with that customer service stuff? I sort of cut off the conversation a bit earlier and I wasn't sure if you had a few more to add in there.
No, I mean, I think it's real and it sounds so simple when you say it, but I think it just gets people get bogged down and they can just get too busy. I think the most important thing is one, understanding the customer journey. So what I mean by that is as an agency, for example, if you're a large agency, every single one of your property managers and BDMs should be able to talk through, okay, this is how the BDM sells generally. Once they're signed on, this is exactly what the handoff process is. This is how the property manager will manage that process. This is how we generally look at touch points with our landlords to make sure we're adding value. So some of what you talked about, having those legislation conversations at certain touch points, that all needs to be clearly understood across the business where anybody can regurgitate that. And if you can't, that's when you know that you're going to have issues from a churn standpoint, the customer service space. But when everybody's on the same page from sales and account management, then you know you're going to be working in harmony and it's going to make things a lot easier.
Absolutely great. Well said. Well put together. Well wrapped up that conversation. I know it is very late. You've probably been flying on planes all over the place, so I won't keep you too much longer. Just on my favorite topic of personal development, do you have something that you can share with anyone listening?
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the big things, so I'm on talking about really how I taught myself how to sell. So when I finished uni, I went straight out and started Toppy with my business partners. So I never really worked through how to go through that process and how to learn customer service and learn through sales. And one of the big kind of pillars I talk about where I push is methodologies that I follow. I think we all get a bit tired of hearing 8,000 different methods of selling or customer service. One of the big ones that I really like that I push on people, and I've did a training with it a long time ago, was called the challenger method. So it talks about teaching, tailoring, and taking control. So it's all about that value add. So being able to teach the person that you're working with something, able to challenge their ideas and really open their minds up, tailoring it to the information that you're pushing across and that what they've shared with you from a discovery standpoint, and really taking control of that situation so they feel comfortable that you're the consultant for them. And I think that applies in prop tech. I think that applies from a property manager or BDM perspective. So for anybody who's listening, that's my biggest from a sales methodology and a customer service. I recommend diving into it.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I will share a link in the show notes for that. How can anyone reach out if anyone's interested in a demo with Tappy or wanting to connect further?
Yeah, absolutely, guys. So if you are interested in learning more about Toppy and booking a demo to hopefully join the incredible community that includes Kylie's amazing business, you can go to www.toppyhq.com to book a demo today, and we will get you set up.
Amazing. So signing off for this evening. Thank you so much for joining me yet again on the podcast.
Thanks, Kylie. Take it easy, everybody.
Can I ask you a quick favour before you leave this episode? Now, we all know how important reviews are for businesses these days, and mine is no different. If you could spare just a minute to follow, rate and review this podcast, it would mean a lot to me. In fact, what would get me super excited is if you share this podcast with someone in the industry who you think might need to hear some of the episodes right now. And if you'd like to find out more about working with me or any of the products I have to help you start, grow, or scale your property management business, head to my website, thatpropertymum.com.au, or check out the links in the show notes.